Our focus today is on the freight and logistics sector and what we can expect in 2024. Our guest is the founder and CEO of leading logistics and supply chain solutions provider Freight Exchange. Freight Exchange is in the business of so-called ugly freight, those awkward items that don't quite easily fit in a box under a plane. The company caters mainly to the small and medium-sized businesses that are the backbone of our economy, giving in real insight into the state of SMEs in Australia. So it's welcome now to Kate Hull. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Kate, first of all, tell me about Freight Exchange. When did you start the company and why?
Freight Exchange launched in 2015, and it was in response to some crazy stats that I found out about the logistics industry. And it was that more than 30% of all trucks, trains, planes and ships are empty.
Wow.
And so I investigated that and I discovered that there was really a lot of things contributing to that. But one of the things was that the industry wasn't well connected or digitised, and I do connections and digitisation. So it was really exciting to be able to, go ahead and try and make a change for the better in the industry.
So tell me about that change. What exactly is Freight Exchange doing?
We are what you would call, and this is a technical term, but essentially we are a software-enabled marketplace. So what we do is we connect transport companies who have trucks and businesses that trade in large or oversized items, and we make the connection, and then we also automate all of the processes of moving things in bulk from door to door.
So it's that ugly freight, those bits and pieces that don't fit perfectly like in Tetris or a jigsaw puzzle.
Exactly. It is if you think a lot of the e-commerce type of solutions, you've got a shoebox or a T-shirt, and those are fairly easy to move around the world. We specialise in businesses that trade in building materials, things where you still need to ship the shoebox, but you may also need to get some oversized or awkward freight to the door as well.
So what has the year been like for the freight and logistics industry?
It has been volatile. During COVID, we saw extraordinary disruption in the industry, and the demand for our services and everyone's services globally tripled. Suddenly overnight we needed three times more drivers and 3 times more vehicles, and but there just weren't that many people around. You can't scale that up. And so in 2023, we saw that the volumes came off that enormous peak. And however, so it was definitely down, but it is still extremely, extremely volatile in that. So it is very unpredictable at this stage.
What have been the biggest trends for the industry, would you say, this year?
Yeah, so the biggest trends have been a factor of that volatility, and very much a factor of labour shortages, escalating wages, not being able to get enough staff either to drive, so drive your things to the front door, or warehouse people to pack the things to go in the truck to go to your front door. And so there has been very challenging for all of the businesses in the industry. In addition to that, fuel has gone up significantly, and so you've got this perfect storm of demand softening and prices really increasing, and it's really, again, wreaking havoc on the industry. Wreaking havoc might be a little bit strong, but it's certainly a challenging for operators.
As we approach 2024, what are you forecasting for the industry? What do you expect?
Yeah, again, demand will be much greater than it was pre-pandemic, but it will soften. So we are definitely seeing a softening in the industry, and that's again to be expected in the economic environment. So we will also see staff shortages. We will also see, high fuel costs, and so we expect the trends to continue.
Well, sticking with the theme of trends, what trends or innovations do you anticipate playing a significant role in promoting eco-friendly practices? Of course, there is a global push towards sustainability. So within the freight and logistics sector next year, what trends or innovations are you expecting?
Yeah. So off the back of the challenges that I just described, escalating costs, can't get enough staff, we're seeing many more types of businesses really rushing to automate and digitise, and also to be far more conscious of their utilisation. That's, again, it's probably jargon, but what we mean is we don't want trucks to be driving empty, and industry doesn't want that to be happening anymore. So there's a much greater focus on that. And part of the other thing that we're also seeing as part of that eco-friendly activity is that customers are increasingly demanding not just, I want to know how much it's going to cost to ship, but I also need to know what is my carbon cost. So they're operating with two budgets. They've got a here's what I can spend budget, and here's what I can, I suppose, put into the air budget. So it's really interesting time to be digitising in this space.
You talk about digitisation. What about artificial intelligence, machine learning and the like? What are we expecting there?
Oh, enormous improvements in everything that happens in the industry. Again, it's very much a blue-collar, very human-driven industry, and that's great. We have such a huge talent pool. However, we're now increasingly seeing small to medium businesses adopting and embracing much more intelligent solutions. And as a company, we're really focused on bringing those solutions into market so that we can help those businesses become more efficient.
Well, it really makes sense in terms of demand as well. We do need to be a much quicker response, I suppose, in this industry. Absolutely.
And when you think about that, the way it works, that you've got, firstly it goes from the factory to the manufacturer to the DC to the packing place to the and then finally onto the to the driver who gets it to your front door or to the business's front door. And when you think about all of those handoffs, the ability to really automate and use machine learning and optimization and AI to really drive efficiencies there, it is an enormous improvement in the way we do business.
How will the continued growth of e-commerce impact the demand for efficient last-mile delivery solutions?
Yeah, e-commerce is predicted to continue to grow, and that makes perfect sense. It's very convenient. At the same time, there's a lot of efficiencies that need to be taken into account for last mile. We do door-to-door, but in terms of the way you solve that last mile piece, it is incredibly complex because you've in the end that is the brand experience that customers experience. But there isn't just one magic wand where you can solve it, because you can't get more trucks driving down George Street.
So what, therefore, strategies would you recommend to companies to stay competitive? It is evolving so rapidly, this landscape. How do you set yourself apart?
It's really important for businesses to adopt technology solutions. And with the advent of AI, and certainly one of our principles is making things really easy for businesses. And so we're operating in an industry where small businesses don't have tech people who are, to hand, who can build them a website or who can set up software. And so we're seeing a huge push towards adopting really simple, easy-to-use solutions that do a lot of the hard work around automation for them, and that's really what we're focused on for 2024.
Speaking of that, what advancements do you anticipate in autonomous vehicles and drone technology?
We don't really work with autonomous vehicles. It's we certainly look forward to that, and that plays very much into the last mile solution. But unfortunately, I think it's a long, long, long way away for us.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll be great when it happens, but it's not on the near-term horizon.
So, is there a time frame, do you think, in terms of that though? Particularly, you're sort of looking at regional centres as well, and the use of drone technology is starting to be. We're seeing that roll out a little bit more, particularly with our emergency services and the like. But can you envisage that, say, in the next? Could you put a time frame on it? Next 5, next 10?
I think it's 5 to 10 years away before the technology and the regulations catch up with each other. And we look forward to it. But at this stage, we're not really planning for it imminently. sadly.
How might the integration of data analytics and real-time tracking systems contribute to improved visibility and risk management, etc.? Because I know as soon as you order something, even just as an everyday consumer, you are wanting to know exactly what's going on and when you can expect it.
Absolutely. So unlike the autonomous vehicles, which is a long way away, there is incredible technology out there for analytics, predictions, and which is essentially what AI is. And so the opportunity to predict demand is really an important part of that, because if you can predict or sense where something needs to be, then you can actually take steps to consolidating, making things more efficient, actually proactively telling businesses, hey, by the way, you're going to run out of widgets.
Yeah.
And so do you need us, do you need to replenish that stock? And we're going to see a lot more of those types of technologies coming online, and that will really drive the sustainability and efficiency of the industry.
Where does Australia sit in comparison to other parts of the world in terms of technology use in this sector?
Ironically, we are really quite advanced, and part of that is because it's expensive to have people. And I'm proud of that. I'm glad that we pay people well. However, it does mean that to compete on a global stage, we do have to adopt pretty advanced technologies to really compete with lower wage environments. And so we are seeing the adoption of drones in warehouses. We are seeing the adoption of a lot more AI and ML and software and automation. So it is ironically, it is a great space to be in Australia.
Moving forward, what is Freight Exchange planned for 2024?
Well, having just spruiked how fantastic Australia is, we're going to North America.
Global domination.
Global
that's what's
domination,
planned.
exactly right. So we have our international platform is up and running, and we are onboarding our first customers, and we will be dominating the world. Why not?
So other parts of the world are coming to us. They are coming to you for this.
Our industry is one of the very few truly global industries. And we are operating in a space where borders are less of a barrier than in many other industries. And so we are seeing more companies wanting to do a lot more global trade and doing it a lot more seamlessly and automatically and transparently and sustainably. So we are definitely seeing a lot more of that demand globally.
Well, it sounds like there is a lot in store for 2024. Kate, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.